My name is Lily. I am 27 years old. I was born in a very small town where everyone knows your name. In my town, life moves slowly. People value two things: hard work and a good reputation. My parents were very traditional. My father owned a small bakery. He woke up at 4 o'clock every morning to bake bread. I can still smell the warm bread in the morning air. It was a smell of safety. My mother helped him every day. They were not rich, but they were respected. They taught me many lessons. Lily, my mother used to say, a woman's heart is like a mirror. If it breaks, it can never be the same. Be careful who you give it to. A good name is better than a gold necklace. I followed their rules. I did not go to the big city. I did not date many boys. I worked at the local flower shop. I loved the smell of roses and lilies. I felt safe in my small world. I believed that if I was a good person, only good things would happen to me. I was innocent. I did not know that shadows can hide even in the brightest light. One rainy Tuesday, a man entered my flower shop. The bell above the door rang, and I looked up. He was not from our town. I could tell by his shoes. They were made of black leather, very clean and very expensive. In our town, everyone has a little bit of dust or mud on their shoes, but not him. His name was Julian. He was 32 years old. He was tall, with dark hair and eyes that looked like they held 1,000 secrets. He told me he was a developer from the big city. He said he was looking for a quiet place to rest because his life was too loud. Julian came to the shop every day for a week. He bought a different bouquet every morning. "These are for my hotel room," he said, "but they are not as beautiful as you, Lily." I felt my face turn red. No one had ever spoken to me like that. He told me stories about the city. He talked about tall buildings that touched the clouds. He talked about bright lights and grand parties. He made my life in the small town feel very small and very boring. I started to dream. Julian stayed in our town for a long time. He met my parents. He was very smart. He knew exactly what to say to them. He brought them expensive gifts from the city. He brought my father a silver watch. My father looked at it for a long time. It was the most beautiful thing he had ever owned. He brought my mother a pearl necklace. She cried when she saw it. "I want to take care of Lily," Julian told my father one evening. We were sitting on our porch. "In the city, I have a big house. I have a successful business, but I don't have a heart. Lily is my heart." My father looked at Julian's expensive car and then at me. He wanted me to be happy. He wanted me to have a better life than a baker's daughter. He wanted me to be a lady. He gave Julian his permission. 2 weeks later, Julian asked me to marry him. I said yes. I thought I was entering a fairy tale. I did not know the fairy tale was a trap. We had a large wedding in the city. It was not like the weddings in my town. In my town, we laugh and dance, but here, everything was quiet and cold. Julian's friends were all very rich. They looked at my simple hands and whispered. I felt uncomfortable in my expensive silk dress. It felt too tight. After the wedding, we moved into Julian's penthouse. It was on the 40th floor of a tall building. The walls were made of glass. I could see the whole city, but I could not touch it. I felt like a fish in a tank. Julian became a different person. In our town, he was soft and kind. In the city, he was cold and busy. He told me I could not work anymore. "A wife of a billionaire does not work in a shop," he said. He gave me a list of rules. I had to dress in a certain way. I had to eat certain things. I felt like I was losing my soul. I was living in a house of glass, but it was the darkest place I had ever been. Months passed. I was very lonely. Julian was always at meetings. He stayed out until very late. When he came home, he did not want to talk to me. He only wanted me to be quiet. I felt like a decoration. I started to miss the smell of bread and the dust of my small town. One rainy Tuesday, Julian, forgot his second phone at home. It was a small silver phone. It started to ring on the kitchen table. I usually never touched Julian's things. He was very strict, but curiosity won. I picked up the phone. I saw a message from a woman named Clara. The message said, "Is the village girl still believing your lies? When are you going to get the money from her family's land?" My heart stopped. My family did not have money. We only had our land and our bakery. Why would a rich man want our land? I felt sick. I decided to look through the messages. I found the truth. Julian was not a billionaire. He was a man in deep debt. He married me because he wanted the oil that was discovered under my father's land. I waited for Julian in the living room. I did not turn on the lights. When he walked in, he was surprised. "Why are you sitting in the dark?" he asked. I held up the silver phone. "Who is Clara, Julian? And why do you want my father's land?" His face changed. The kind man was gone. He looked like a monster. He laughed a cruel, loud laugh. "You were so easy to trick, Lily," he said. "You and your simple parents. You wanted the city life, didn't you? Well, this is the price. The land belongs to me now because of the papers you signed on our wedding day." I realized I had signed many papers I did not read. I trusted him. He took the phone from my hand and threw it into the fireplace. "Go to your room," he shouted. "You are just a baker's daughter. You have nothing. No one will believe you." He locked the door from the outside. I was a prisoner in the sky. I cried all night. I felt so much shame. I thought about my mother's words about the broken mirror. My mirror was broken into a million pieces. The next morning, Julian sent his driver, Samuel, to take me to a doctor. Julian wanted to tell everyone I was sick, so I could not talk. Samuel was an older man. He saw my red eyes. "Mrs. Miller, are you okay?" he asked quietly. I looked at him and I saw a father's eyes. I told him everything. I told him about the debt, the land, and the lies. Samuel looked at the road for a long time. Then he said, "My daughter was hurt by a man like Julian. I will not let it happen to you." He did not take me to the doctor. He took me to the train station. He gave me some cash and his own phone. "Run, Lily, go back to your people." The train ride felt like a dream. I arrived in my small town at sunset. I walked to the bakery. When I walked in, my father was cleaning the counters. He looked at me and he knew. He didn't ask questions. He just hugged me. I smelled the bread and I started to cry. I told my parents the whole story. I waited for them to be angry. I waited for them to say I shamed the family. But my father's face turned hard like stone. He took off the silver watch Julian gave him. He walked to the back of the bakery and threw it into the oven. "Our name is not for sale," he said. "He thinks we are simple. We will show him that simple people are the strongest." My father called the whole town, the librarian, the mayor, and the old lawyer. Julian came to our town 2 days later. He brought 3 lawyers in black suits. He thought he could frighten us. He walked into the bakery with a smile. "Lily, come back home," he said. "You are having a difficult time." But the bakery was full of people. The mayor was there. The local police were there. Our old lawyer, Mr. Higgins, stood up. "Mr. Miller," he said, "you made a mistake. Lily's grandfather did not leave her the land directly. He put it in a community trust. According to the law of this town, the land cannot be sold or transferred unless the whole community agrees. And we do not agree." Julian's face turned gray. He tried to shout, but my father stepped forward. "Leave this town," my father said, "and never look back." Julian lost everything. Because he could not get the land, his creditors took his city house and his business. He was the one who was truly poor. I stayed in the small town. I went back to my flower shop. At first, I felt ashamed when people looked at me. But then I realized they were not looking at me with shame. They were looking at me with respect. I had stood up to a monster. I learned that my heart was not a mirror that could be easily broken. It was a rose. It has thorns to protect itself. I am 30 years old now. I am free. I am happy. And every time I smell the warm bread in the morning, I know that I am finally home.